Thank you, sir. And good afternoon, everyone. So I'll be talking about the indications and case selections of DMAC. If you did attend our DSEC course yesterday, it's almost quite similar with certain finer points which would be little different between DSEC and DMAC. So again, simply put, for both DSEC and DMAC, indications are any cornea where the endothelial is dysfunctional. The ideal case to have as a beginner is a pseudophakic corneal edema. And in here, you would want something with a normal anterior chamber anatomy where the pupil is nice and round, no vitreous, IOL in the bag. Now, if the IOL is in the sulcus, there is problem with centration, the AC is little unstable, and it's little difficult to get a good airfill. A long-standing case like this where there is considerable epithelial hypertrophy, DMAC is possible, but it's better to have it staged. Do a simple procedure like an AP debridement, put a BCL on, your visibility increases, and maybe a couple of months later you can take them up for DMAC. Now in TAS, this is slightly different from DSEC. Here DMAC is little challenging because there is more chance of bleeding while doing the inferior PI. There is more release of iris pigments. Now these eyes are highly inflammatory. There might be fibrin thread formation during the surgery which prevents the DM scroll from unfolding. So in our series, which was published in IGO last year, we have had to convert to DSEC in 3 of these situations. ACIOL even for DSEC is difficult. For DMAC it is even more difficult, not ideal for beginners. Things to consider is how long did the patient see well with that ACIOL in, how deep is the AC, and if the ACIOL is stable or not. It can be taken up for DMAC, but you have to realize that the chances of endothelial cell loss intraoperatively is higher. Sometimes it might be a better idea to just do an IOL exchange, put an SF-IOL in or a retrofixated iris claw lens in, and maybe do a collaborative surgery with your VR colleague. FECD, so this is what both sir and we say that in eastern part of the country it's relatively more. So we do a lot of triple cases in FECD. This also is also a very good case for beginners for doing a DMAC triple, and the results are highly satisfactory because you are doing the cataract surgery. So everything is happening in one go and it's good. Now the dilemma comes when it's an early FECD, whether you want to do only a cataract surgery or whether you want to do a triple. Sorry. So based on the degree of age of the patient is one thing. So above 40, we prefer doing a triple procedure anyway. And if the patient has complaints of early morning blurring, and if you're seeing some early epithelial edema, it's better to go for a triple procedure. If you're doing only a cataract surgery, give guarded prognosis and explain to the patient that later on down the line, they might require an EK surgery. And IOL power is important, but unlike DSEC, here you would target a myopic of maybe 0.5 to 0.75. Failed graft, for post-DSEC, DMAC is a good option. However, for post-PK, it is possible, but as Dr. Price has published, the rates of donor detachment and both primary and secondary failures are more, and the graft survival over a 5-year period is comparatively less with DMAC. Post-therapeutic PK failed graft, again, with larger grafts, DMAC is a good option for giving visual rehab to these failed therapeutic eyes. But similar to a post-optical PK, the graft survival chances are relatively less. Post-TRAB and glaucoma surgeries and tube shunts, the difficulty here is getting a good air tamponade, and also in presence of tube, the manipulation becomes even much more. The unfolding is difficult, and there is more endothelial cell loss because the DMAC roll rubs with the tube shunt. Other indications which are rarer is PPCD, CHED, ABK. We see a fair number of patients with eye syndrome and HSV endothelitis in our practice. So in these cases, for HSV endothelitis, your oral prophylaxis pre and post-operatively is also important while managing these patients. Now contraindications for beginners would be something like where you have a lot of vitreous in the anterior chamber, extensive peripheral anterior synechia, decentered ACIOL which is mobile, or limited visibility. And cases like this where there is stromal involvement, a lot of vitreous with poor iris support, and very thick central corneal thickness, they might not be a candidate for EK at all. Now, if you look at the data from the US, no, this is from Germany, sorry. If you look at the Western data, in there almost 80%, and the other publications, about 2/3 of them is, the indication is Fuchs, whereas post-cataract edema is only between 15 to 20%, and failed graft about 8%. The rarer dystrophies make about 3% of the indications. In our series, we have almost 40% cases where Fuchs, directly or indirectly, so some of these are PBK in Fuchs and some of these are triple patients, and another 43% is otherwise normalized who have gone for bullous keratopathy following a cataract surgery. Another major indication is post-viral endotheliitis and ICE syndrome, and also about 7% cases that we do are for rehabilitation of failed grafts. Now coming to the evaluation, so it is always good as a beginner surgeon to make an Excel sheet to maintain your data, so you can have your own, you can follow up your own patients very nicely, you can see how you're improving, and also later on it can be used to present and publish your data. So the things to keep track of would be what is the primary diagnosis, the visual acuity in both the affected and the opposite eye, and also diagnosis in the other eye, because sometimes it might be an early Fuchs which was missed by the previous cataract surgeon. Look at the lens, whether it is pseudophakic, phakic or aphakic, because that changes a lot of your surgical decision making. In case of prior corneal surgeries, whether it's a prior failed graft, again some surgical planning changes. With glaucoma surgeries, one is the previous surgery you'll have to take care. Second, you'll have to put them on an anti-glaucoma medication initially, and to make sure that you're doing also the glaucoma follow-ups properly. Now coming to the lens specifically, if pseudophakic, the surgery becomes challenging in presence of ACIOL or iris fixated, and also the IOL material makes a difference. If you have a hydrophilic IOL, it might opacify during the, as a result of your air tamponade. And also the pupil, whether there is enough adequate pupillary support, both because you need a good airfill, and also sometimes if there is a large iridectomy, the graft can sometimes go behind the pupil. So the workup that needs to be done, anterior chamber, anterior segment OCT is the most important investigation to be done here. Look for subepithelial scarring. Look in case of PBK, look if there is a pre-existing DM detachment. If there is a prior penetrating keratoplasty, look at the graft host junctions properly. That would determine the sizing. Anterior segment photography for documentation. If it's a mild edema, you can look at the fundus directly. Otherwise, you'll have to rely on an ultrasound B scan. And biometry, both axial length and biometry from the other eye, because sometimes these eyes are so edematous, it is very difficult to get a good keratometry reading. And if possible, when we are doing a triple procedure, sometimes we go for a macular OCT, and also in case of PBK eyes, macular OCT if possible, because a surprising number of these eyes have CME due to the previous complicated cataract surgery. So again, this is the case situations of dilemma where you would try to decide between a cataract surgery, whether to do a phakic DMEC or go for a DMEC triple procedure. So age is one of the factors, and also you'll have to realize that if you're doing a phakic DMEC, these eyes develop cataract early on because you would be giving postoperative steroid. There is surgical manipulation and air-induced cataract genesis. In case of ICE syndrome, better to do a cataract surgery because that helps deepen the chamber and also some amount of IOP control. So the IOL of choice is a hydrophobic acrylic lens and target myopia by 0.5 to 0.75. Toric and multifocal maybe for the advanced surgeons but not as much for the beginner surgeons. And specular microscopy is also important. This is mainly one, to explain the disease to the patient, and two, to also screen the other eye, both to pick up undiagnosed pathology and also to guard our cataract colleagues. So as we know, we have a huge cataract surgical rate in the country, and just by, if we are assuming 0.1% PBK, we are adding 13,000 new PBK patients to the population every year. And also there is a fair number of Fuchs dystrophy in the geographically in our part of the eastern India. So DMEC is, I mean, it's high time for corneal surgeons to shift from DSEC to DMEC. And I think as a beginner surgeon, even I am a neophyte for a DMEC surgery, so we should start doing these wonderful surgeries. And just to summarize, these are the ideal cases, pseudophakic corneal edema with IOL in the back or an early Fuchs for a DMEC triple. Thank you.